February 1st. Are you kidding me? That's what's going on. It is 3:28 Pacific Standard Time. I am on the West Coast, folks, and I appreciate you guys for being with me. I did take off Saturday, all right? Admittedly, I took off Saturday, and I took off Friday night around 9 o'clock when the guys on the collective, Jeff and Cole, went live after I had already went live for 90 minutes to talk about Declan Doyle, the newest Ravens offensive coordinator. So apologies to those guys for sticking by pre-scheduled plans I had, dinner plans with my mother, who was only in town, of course, out of the generosity of her own heart to watch Tilly while I'm in San Francisco this week. And apologies for taking off yesterday. I had to get in some sun on mom time. So that's what's going on right now. I appreciate you guys for being with me. 3:30 again, Pacific Standard Time, 6:30 for those of you on the East Coast. And I hope everybody's been braving the elements. I see Charlotte is just completely under snow cover. And we all know what's gone on throughout the entire Northeast in recent days. So hopefully you guys are warm. Hopefully you guys are in good standing and hopefully not snowed in. Although Jeff has told me, Jeff Zrebeck that is, that his kids, he fears that they will never go back to school because of the snow removal, snow management, or lack thereof in the Baltimore area. I'm glad you guys can be with me tonight. I have a lot to get to. This episode is brought to you by my friends at FanDuel and my longest standing sponsor, the folks at Preston Automotive Group. Look, since the Declan Doyle hire became official, this is just how it goes from a business perspective. Now the staff really starts to crystallize and materialize, right? So I don't know what is going on in the live chat right now. Evan says there is no video for him. Is anybody else experiencing that right now? No, just Evan, who's making accusations. No, thanks for the heads up. Hopefully you guys are doing okay on your end from a technical standpoint. And I'll just say, look, I'm not on Radio Row yet, like this ticker, the bottom ticker indicates I am, but I am in San Francisco. I am at my hotel accommodation, Hotel Emblem, Pacifica Hotel Groups. So I want to say thanks to them for all the support that they're giving me this week. Jake Asman is on his way over from New York right now. So a number of you are saying that there is no video. So I don't know what's going on there. A lot of you are saying it is working, but you're definitely distracting me in the live chat right now. I'm not saying don't write that. I'm just saying I want to make sure everybody logistically can watch me tonight. So anyway, if you have to reset or you have to refresh, whatever you have to do, let me know, and I'll try to keep up with that as I kind of get this show started. But I am in San Francisco, and I will be here all week broadcasting live on Radio Row, hopefully getting some different names and faces and perspectives in and out of the channel, both here, the collective, and on the vault. So if you could on the way in, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership. And like I said, Jake Asman, who does what I do for the Jets, is en route right now. A couple more hours left. We're going to go out to dinner in San Francisco and officially kickstart the best week of the year when it comes to media and content creation. And so before we dive into some of the recent activity as it relates to Jesse Minter's staff, which is absolutely forming and starting to crystallize, the coaching carousel is over. The last two vacancies have been filled according to the National Insiders. And Rap Sheet earlier today noting that the Arizona Cardinals plan to hire Rams offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur as their next head coach. Mike, one of the many staff members under Sean McVay, who's been sought after and who played a key role in terms of candidacy throughout this offseason or throughout this hiring cycle, shall we put it. Nate Scheelhaus, certainly among them, pass game coordinator, and then Chris Shula on the defensive side of the ball, who the Ravens interviewed along with Scheelhaus. So anyway, he is going to be a part of potentially a significant rebuild in Arizona. And yes, this is the brother of Matt LaFleur in Green Bay. So Mike, not Matt, Mike gets his first big break in the coaching industry, and he goes to join the Cardinals. Elsewhere, Clint Kubiak appears to be landing with Seattle. This is also from Rap Sheet. Looks like he's going to be the next head coach. had a second interview on Saturday. Las Vegas, because of guidelines that are in place for this time of year for teams that are still in it, which Seattle is, of course, cannot officially hire Clint until after Super Bowl 60, but they believe they have their guy. So that obviously still has to go pen to paper, ink. You know how it goes. But that's the latest. So as you take a look around, just as we kind of set the scene here and talk a little bit about Declan Doyle and some of the staff rumblings and some reports and even some hires, here it is. The carousel is over. Buffalo gets Joe Brady. Pittsburgh in the AFC North hires Mike McCarthy. Jesse Minter, of course, his first opportunity at the head coaching position in Baltimore. John Harbaugh goes to the Giants. Kevin Stefanski to Atlanta. Jeff Hafley to the Dolphins. Robert Saleh lands in Tennessee. Todd Monken remains in the AFC North with Cleveland. And then, like I just mentioned, the Cardinals and Raiders rounding out the final vacancies in what has been an insane month. And the fact that it is February 1st, unbelievable. February frickin' 1st. And here we are a week out from Super Bowl 60. Now, on Friday, we learned with the classic Friday afternoon news dump that the Ravens were giving a 29-year-old the chance to be their next offensive coordinator. Guy by the name of Declan Doyle, who served as the non-primary play calling offensive coordinator in 2025 under Ben Johnson in Chicago. The Bears had a lot of success. And Caleb Williams, of course, was at the forefront of that conversation. They were really inches away, plays away, a play or two away from competing and making an appearance in the NFC Championship game. Declan, again, is 29. He turns 30 next month. He went to college at Iowa Western before transferring to Iowa. We know the Ravens' ties to the Iowa Hawkeye program run deep. Kirk Ferentz and Eric DeCosta are very close. And, of course, the great Marshall Yanda, among others, hail from Iowa and hailed from Iowa. He was a student assistant while in school from 2016 to 2018. And from there, Sean Payton gave him a legitimate opportunity to serve as an offensive assistant in New Orleans from 19 to 22. That means he had a front row seat to Drew Brees prior to his retirement. After that, when Sean ended up getting an opportunity in Denver, he became the tight ends coach for Sean, followed him to join the Broncos coaching staff, where he was during the 23 and 24 season. And then again, no specific ties to Ben Johnson, but they did have a chance to catch up for coffee at the Combine after the 24 season. And what do you know? Or maybe it was after the 23 season, or maybe it was earlier on. I can't remember, but I did read a great article that I'm going to go ahead and screen share here in just a second on Yahoo Sports that does a good deep dive in understanding who the next Ravens offensive coordinator is. And I got to tell you, look, you're going to keep hearing this from me throughout the offseason. And I think that in one breath, it's true. The honeymoon phase is on, and with change comes a level of refreshing newness. Until the bullets are flying, we won't truly be able to evaluate Jesse Minter's candidacy and the legitimacy of what he's bringing to Baltimore, what he's building in Baltimore. So all we can really grade it out as right now, and I am asking you in tonight's poll question to grade his job, his first week into the job, which I get is a difficult thing to do because of how premature that is in a lot of ways. But that's all we have to go off of right now. And I got to tell you, not to be a prisoner of the moment, but he's putting together a staff that is young, bright, and hungry. And when you have those three things, man, with the personnel that the Ravens have, and they're not above improvement. They're not above key holes that need to be filled. There are some significant voids, and we know what those are. And we know they have to be addressed in the coming months as offseason begins in Baltimore. But I can't imagine, if I'm a fan out there and I have rooting allegiances to the Baltimore Ravens, I can't imagine waking up on February 1st and not being fired up about what this team is building under Jesse Minter and the new era of Ravens football that started to take center stage since this decision was made a couple Thursdays ago. You know, as you're right on cue. How did I know? You get more and more predictable by the live stream. Azrael says he hasn't done shit. Yeah, no shit. I just told you that. We're going off of what we have right now. And what do we have right now to sink our teeth into? I just told you. Of course he hasn't done shit. You could say that up until September. Get with the program, Azzy. Happy Sunday to you. Happy February to you. What do you think? I'm going to change once I get over to the West Coast? I still got time, baby. I still got time. Declan Doyle. What is the non-primary offensive coordinator, meaning non-primary play caller offensive coordinators' responsibilities? What are they? Well, Declan spoke with Ari Mirov over the summer about that specifically.
The season, we'll start to really hash out exactly what the responsibilities are. The biggest thing is we got to get a jump start on the tape, me and the rest of the staff. So we'll get a jump start on it. We'll start to prepare the game plan the way he would have when he was the coordinator. He's going to be handling some other responsibilities. And then when he's able to kind of transition back over to play caller, we have organized, the thoughts on how we're going to attack this defense, what kind of plays we want to run conceptually, and then, who do we need to feed the ball to? How is this defense going to view us from, what we're doing, and really set the table so that he can walk in and there's work already done, not he has to start from scratch. So the biggest thing is we're trying to save as much time for him as we possibly can. And obviously I'm spearheading that. I'm trying to orchestrating the rest of the staff, but we got to use our resources to try to make his life not as easy as possible, but just try to set him up for as much success as we possibly can.
Job well done. There was plenty of success had in Chicago this past season. And that interview, that little snippet right there with Ari, was from August. So Declan hadn't even really gotten a full year under his belt at that point, but clearly had a grasp, had an understanding, right, of what his role was going to be. Stephanie starts us off in the super chat category. What's up, Steph? With such a young staff, I think patience with the Ravens' progress will be in order. We should expect less and hope for the best. Yeah, and when you say less, I think, almost like a more optimistic way of phrasing that is expect growing pains, right? Expect things to take time. Expect adjustments to be had. And I think if you go in with that mindset, knowing the personnel that Declan and Jesse and the staff that's starting to crystallize has in front of it and has at its disposal, I think like tempering expectations will be important for sure. But then again, when you do have that personnel, when you do have Lamar Jackson under center, those expectations are going to be lofty no matter who's leading the program. Thanks, Stephanie. So by now, you know that quarterback QB1 and OC1 are both 29. Declan Doyle is the youngest offensive coordinator league-wide. And so what I wanted to go ahead and do, and I know, I look orange. I'm in a hotel conference room right now. Sorry the lighting isn't perfect to your liking. That's life on the road. We'll do better next time, meaning tomorrow on Radio Row. But I wanted to go ahead and just quickly share a couple snippets from this Yahoo piece, this Yahoo Sports piece that Jory Epstein put together in October of 2025. Okay. And I wanted to specifically highlight this right here. Because again, some of you might be out there saying to yourselves, the man is 29. His quarterback is 29. How will he command a room? How will he command and earn players' respect? What does that look like? And it's important to know how Declan's wired, what his past has consisted of, and again, what previous coaches have said about him in terms of his work ethic, his delivery, his football acumen. So reading specifically from Jory's piece back in October, quote, so no one questions Doyle's intensity and commitment to detail as he tells them on repeat that they're striving to make the same thing look different and different things look the same. Doyle reminds quarterbacks the importance of tying the timing of their eyes to their feet. He reminds receivers the necessity of route depth integrity. They discuss throwing a runner's ball on crossing routes to ensure targets can be caught in stride and yards after the catch aren't forsaken. They pinpoint how the use of 12 personnel or 2 tight end sets can help diagnose defenses and thus clarify quarterback decision making. This is in-depth intricacies here that Declan found himself intimately involved with under Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, he was pretty pleased just a couple weeks ago at a press conference towards the end of the season about what he felt like he got in hiring Declan Doyle in 2025.
He's done a phenomenal job this year. He's everything I thought he was going to be, and some. He's got tremendous presence in front of the players. Extremely smart. He's picked up the offense quickly throughout the spring and camp, and has been able to augment to it. We got such a strong coaching staff from the coordinators to position coaches to some of these young coaches as well. They're going to continue to ascend, and I think the future is bright for a guy like Declan. Hopefully we can keep him here for a long time, but I know he's been an asset to me. He's been an asset to our offense and all these players as well.
High praise from Ben Johnson, and the numbers really speak for themselves in terms of what they were able to accomplish as a group collectively. Again, a lot of this is Caleb Williams. A lot of this is at some point here. The English goes when you're on that East Coast to West Coast kind of time frame right now. It was a long day, but there was no way though. Like I could be out doing Golden Gate right now, Alcatraz, you name it. But I was like, hold on a second here. These people, these incredible subscribers of mine, Trosseteers, as Joe Jenkins coins it, these guys have been showing up and showing out for over a month now. What the hell am I going to go do? Sightsee or go give them what they want? I think this is what you want. Hopefully it is. What you want is these numbers to bear out what it might look like in 2026, because the Bears offense ranked second in plays run in 2025. This is league-wide. These are league-wide statistics. 9th in yards per play. The fewest giveaways, so turnover prone, or turnover free in a lot of ways. I should say efficient is probably the right word. 6th in first downs, 3rd in rushing yards, 7th in total yards per game, and just 24 sacks allowed. So again, this is more than just, hey, let's tout Declan Doyle, right? A lot of this is just, you got to give everybody their due. You got to give DeAndre Swift his due. You got to give pass protection their due. You got to give Caleb Williams and his play extending ability and his God-gifted athleticism. You got to give all them their due, not to mention the pass catchers that are out there as well. And Ben Johnson as the primary play caller deserves his fair share as well. But these are impressive statistics. And it was a high-powered offensive attack that the Ravens beat, by the way, led by Tyler Snoop Huntley, as we know. Back to Jory's piece here, because I don't know. I really encourage you guys to go check this out. Again, it is Jory Epstein. I'm going to go ahead and throw this article link into the live chat just in case you guys want to go take a look, because it's a great primer and I just think a sufficient way of learning about Declan Doyle and what he was able to accomplish this year. Not just with the Bears in 2025, but it does go back to his days in New Orleans when, again, Sean Payton gave him a chance at 23 years old. And I wanted to go down to this clip right here. Same article. This was from October of 2025. Quote, Jory writes, quote, by 2019, at 23 years old, Doyle was in-house with Payton, Drew Brees, and the Saints staff in an offensive assistant role that focused most often on the tight end room, where Dan Campbell was position coach. Players with steeper pro acclamations didn't faze Doyle. Transitioning one-time Penn State receiver Jawan Johnson into an NFL tight end, Johnson credits Doyle with teaching him not only technique, but also the mindset Johnson needed to adopt to block well enough to stay on the field. Developing Adam Troutman, who'd transitioned to tight end in college and now was making the conceptual leap from FCS ball to the NFL. Troutman told Yahoo Sports this: everything that he told me happened. Everything he was teaching me, that's exactly how it was unfolding from defenses. So it was like, all right, I can trust this guy. Trust is built. Trust is earned, particularly when it comes to an NFL locker room and NFL operation. And it certainly feels like through one season, just one season, he earned the trust of the Bears locker room. He earned the trust, clearly, of Sean Payton years ago, not only to bring him on as a 23-year-old as an offensive assistant in New Orleans, but when his time with the Saints ended and ultimately got a shot to go to Denver not long after, he brought him with him. To me, this is as intriguing of a hire as I can remember in quite some time when it comes to Ravens operations, Ravens principles, Ravens tendencies. And a lot of that, I think, will remain, right? The Raven way will remain. But will it start to evolve here? I think it's already evolving right now in front of all your eyes. And I got to think that that's pretty freaking exciting. Is it not? Because while there isn't anything that you can label as a safe decision or a safe option, scared money don't make no money. Come on now. Guest lines are open. Denaro hits me with a super chat. And Denaro writes, give them half a season to get their legs. The coaches and players will figure it out. Bobby, check out the San Francisco Jazz Center. It's dope. They have live shows. Denaro, thank you. And you just reminded me I need as many recommendations as I can get in terms of the cuisine scene here, the dining scene, the sightseeing scene. I'm not going to have a ton of time to work with. Obviously, it's Radio Row Week. Nothing else matters besides the content for the most part. But I'm taking as many San Francisco recommendations as I can, particularly dinners, because the weeknights this upcoming week will be, for the most part, ours. So, Denaro, appreciate you, brother. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks to Steph for getting us started in the super chat category as well. And we still have more hirings. This is all thing. I'm 20 minutes in, and I'm sorry for not getting to these other names sooner, solely just based on having, I guess, jet lag brain. I don't know. I got to get a read in, though. I got to open up the guest lines, and then I got to get to the rest of the names that, to me, are extremely relevant in what we've learned more about over the weekend since Declan Doyle was named Jesse Minter's offensive coordinator in Baltimore. Guys, FanDuel has sponsored my program for all of 2026, and I'm thrilled to have them for obvious reasons. It's a great way to continue to build the program. It's a direct reflection of the support that you guys have given me and continue to give me, and this channel is growing, and that's when brands start reaching out. So thanks to FanDuel for that. Thanks to all of you for showing up. And FanDuel has your Super Bowl odds coming up on Sunday right here in San Francisco, Santa Clara to be specific. 45.5 is the over-under, and Seattle favored by 4.5 points. There are also a couple other things to look at as well, like your Super Bowl 60 MVP odds, and no surprise, being that he is the quarterback of the team that's favored to win. Sam Darnold, plus 110 to win Super Bowl MVP. Drake May on the opposite side for New England, plus 230. Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's had a ridiculous postseason, plus 600. Kenneth Walker III, do-it-all, running back and pass catcher for Seattle, plus 850. Ramondre Stevenson, plus 3,000 on the Patriots side, and Stephon Diggs, plus 4,500. Rounds out a few options there. Again, sportsbook.fanduel.com. And just in case you want a non-sports related item, how about the color of the first Gatorade poured on the winning head coach? No shit. I'm not joking around. This is what they sent me via email. I didn't know this existed, but you can take your pick. Orange leads the way at plus 230 for whatever it's worth. Appreciate FanDuel for the continued support. Appreciate all of you guys for being with me this evening. It is 3:52 Pacific Standard Time here locally in San Francisco. Guest lines are open. Trey, are you with me? If you are, 1, thanks for holding. 2, turn that camera on, and I'm happy to have you on the program. If you're not, we got some other hires to discuss, and that is the first of many little rumblings since Declan Doyle was named Ravens offensive coordinator on Friday. Like this from Rap Sheet. The Ravens submitted a request to interview Ronald Curry for quarterbacks coach. Curry has worked under Sean Payton and had a huge hand in the development of Bills quarterback Josh Allen in Buffalo. Curry had multiple offensive coordinator interviews this cycle as well. Okay. Well, part of this, look, is how it goes sometimes with the way messaging is handled on the national level. Agents have a way of curating these tweets in a lot of ways, right? Ultimately, insiders like Rap Sheet and Pelissero and Schefter and insiders alike will often, sometimes, have the chance to just copy and paste, if it's written properly, tweets like these from agents. And so I think there's a layer of this. Like, do we really think that Josh Allen's not going to be an MVP caliber quarterback if Ronald Curry wasn't on the staff over the last several years? And that's not to diminish anything related to Ronald Curry. And for those of you that followed his career years ago, you know this guy's one of the most decorated high school athletes of all time. The guy was a ridiculous athlete. And let's learn a little bit about Ronald Curry while we also take this tweet itself with what he's done in Buffalo with a grain of salt. And by the way, the point that I'm trying to make here, as Jesse Minter puts his staff together, as Declan Doyle becomes the first really noteworthy hire of his on the offensive side of the football, is now, much like Jeff has been talking about on the collective in recent weeks, remember, sometimes the offensive play caller has a level of influence in who he's bringing to Baltimore with him. Meaning, hey, these guys overlapped, Ronald and Declan did, in New Orleans under Sean Payton. You got to think that there's a previously established trust there, rapport there, and I'd have to think that Declan could very well be handpicking his quarterback's coach. Meaning, I know, and I get it, you want T. Martin around, and he's worked well with Lamar. Both speak extremely highly of one another. As far as I know right now, T. Martin is on the outside looking in terms of Ravens operations at the moment. As far as Ronald Curry is concerned, this guy's had a heck of an athletic career. Okay, first of all, for those of you that are familiar with Virginia hoops, Virginia football, we know that Michael Vick hailed from Virginia. There's been a lot of athletes over the years that have come out of the state of Virginia, one of those sneaky states that's had a bunch of legends come out of there. Okay, Ronald was one of those. He was a wide receiver, went on to play his college football at North Carolina from 1998 to 2001. He was a 7th-round pick in the draft in 2002 by the then Oakland Raiders. Hung around the NFL for several years, most of which was in Oakland. Then on to Detroit and finished his career with the Rams. Coaching career began in San Francisco in 2014 as an offensive assistant. He spent a couple years there. From there, he went on to the New Orleans organization under Sean Payton. And that's where he was up until 2024, where he joined the Bills as quarterbacks coach. Okay? So, again, for those of you that have followed Ronald's career, he's someone that is certainly, back in his heyday, regarded as one heck of an athlete. And I encourage you to go read up on him. Again, he's worked closely with Josh Allen over the last couple of years. And now, probably because of his relationship with Declan from their time in New Orleans, he's getting a look to potentially be the successor to T. Martin in Baltimore as Lamar Jackson's quarterbacks coach. Now, here he is right here. Again, Sean Payton's right-hand man. There he is. Our right, Sean's left on the right-hand side, and then Ronald during his days in New Orleans as a member of the Saints coaching staff on the left-hand side of that graphic right there. Moving along with some other notes from over the weekend, Tom Pelissero reporting that the Cleveland Browns are interviewing Daniel Stern for associate head coach. Does Daniel Stern's name, for those of you that follow this team closely, ring a bell? I'm sure it does, because he's been involved with the organization for quite some time. He was most recently, as Pelissero says here, the Ravens' assistant quarterbacks coach and director of football strategy. And now another one bites the dust potentially to Todd Monken, who very quietly is putting together a staff that are following him over from Baltimore. Speaks to Todd, speaks to his relationships in the building, speaks to perhaps what Jesse Minter prefers to build in terms of what he's doing in this new era of Ravens football that we all find ourselves in right now. As far as Daniel, he just finished up his 10th season with the Ravens. Again, he was heavily involved in the quarterback room. We're talking playbook, call sheet management, opponent analysis, self-scouting, you name it. He was one of John Harbaugh's right-hand men behind the scenes. Yale educated, Ivy League educated. Scripting situational periods of practice is something that he was doing. He also advised him, you guys are going to get a chuckle out of this, and I'm reading directly from his bio here. He advised Harbaugh on in-game clock game management. So in-game clock and in-game management, okay? Coaching challenges as well he was involved in. And then since 2019, he's been charged with studying game management, situational football, and the NFL playing and rules and officiating. I want to make sure I'm getting this all down. He is a Baltimore guy through and through, okay? The Park School in Pikesville is where he went to school. And then again, went to Yale. Very bright guy. Very bright guy. But you guys are probably getting an interesting reaction out there because game management, clock management, it came back to bite the Ravens in the end. Whether that was related to fourth quarter collapses, whether that was related to simple ways of, fundamentally closing out games. It wasn't good enough. And that was one of the blemishes on John Harbaugh's resume when it was all said and done. So much so, Steve Bisciotti mentioned it. He pointed it out point blank in that first press conference since the dismissal of John Harbaugh. So with Daniel Stern likely on his way out, and hey, good for him. He's going to go get associate head coach, that label attached to his name in Cleveland by Todd Monken. Hell yeah, he's going to go take that, and good for him. Good for him. What's the corresponding move in Baltimore, you're probably wondering? The Ravens, according to Schefter, are hiring former Colts assistant Charlie Gelman as their game management coordinator and defensive assistant. And again, he will directly replace Daniel Stern. Well, who is Charlie Gelman, you might be wondering? Charlie he's already been involved with the Ravens organization. So there's a familiarity there. This is a return. This is a return for Charlie Gelman. He's been with the Colts. And prior to that, he had a bunch of different roles in Baltimore. He was a football analyst from 22 to 23. He was a coaching research intern from 21 to 22. Scouting analytics intern in 2019. And again, spent the last several years with the Indianapolis Colts. Went to Duke. Bright young mind who the Ravens have familiarity with. And Jesse Minters feels comfortable enough to bring him in as Daniel Stern's replacement. So that's one that obviously we're going to be watching closely. Because one thing that cannot happen moving forward is the repeated trend that became a black eye for the Ravens. The inability to consistently close out games. The inability, it became too conservative. It became too vanilla. It became too receptive almost for self-doubt to creep in when these significant fourth quarter leads were built and then collapsed. That can't continue into the Jesse Minter era. And perhaps change is one of those necessary evils when it comes to some of the staff upheaval and turnover and now replacement. So, again, Daniel Stern appears to be on his way out. He'll join Todd Monken in Cleveland. And the corresponding move there is a guy named Charlie Gelman, who's already very familiar with the Ravens organization. As we continue on with the trend of young and bright and hungry and up and coming, here's another example. According to Ian Rappaport, the Ravens have requested Jaguars assistant Tyler Tettleton for wide receivers coach. Tettleton is involved deeply in offensive game planning for the Jaguars and is seen as a future offensive coordinator. Last hiring cycle, he interviewed for Ohio University's head coaching job. That's Ohio football. And that's where he played his college football as a quarterback. He was there in let's see. So he went undrafted in 2014. And did he actually play in the NFL? Let me see here. Had a 4-year career at Ohio. Did he actually play in the National Football League? He may have went undrafted and then immediately hopped into coaching. I think that's maybe what's happening here. And I'm sorry I'm doing this on the fly. Some of these that haven't actually become official yet, it's like, how much do you sink your teeth into reports? But I think after going undrafted, he got his coaching career started as a grad assistant at Oklahoma. And then from there became a pro personnel intern with the Jets in 2018. From there, went to Cleveland as offensive quality control coach, then to LSU as an offensive analyst. I mean, the guy's been everywhere. Then his alma mater brought him in 2021 as the pass game coordinator and running backs coach, and he's been with Jacksonville ever since. He was the assistant running backs coach in Jacksonville in 22, and then since then he's been the assistant wide receivers coach. Now, you ready for the Baltimore tie-in here? Again, this is Tyler Tettleton. Does anyone know who Mickey Tettleton is? Mickey Tettleton, pictured on the right-hand side of the screen in the late 80s, early 90s, where he was a catcher for the Baltimore Orioles. I kid you not. Tyler's father, Mickey, was a catcher in the late 80s, early 90s for the Baltimore Orioles. One of those years, he was an all-star in 1989 and a 3-time Silver Slugger Award recipient as well, also in 1989. So there you have it. A little bit of Baltimore ties. And there's his son, Tyler, on the left-hand side during his time at quarterback for the Ohio. Oh, this is going to kill me. What is their mascot? I should know this. Goodness gracious. Is it the Bobcats, guys? I think it's the Bobcats, isn't it? I hope it's the Bobcats. So there you go. If you needed Baltimore ties, I give you Baltimore ties. Shelly says, Bobby, we appreciate you. We know you have had a lot of sleepless nights providing us with the latest in Ravens news. Please know your work doesn't go unnoticed or underappreciated. Shelly, feeling is mutual. I appreciate you. Thank you for the kind words. I'm sure you get a kick out of it that, Friday afternoon comes around. And I'm kind of anticipating the offensive coordinator news coming down, but I'm also trying to balance out being present with my mom, wanting to enjoy what was a beautiful day in St. Pete. And finally, at 3:00 came around. I'm like, Mom, let's go down. Come on, let's go downtown. Let's go to one of the parks with Tilly. Let's get her some Frisbee tossing in. Let's go get some vitamin D and go enjoy this. And sure enough, the Declan news comes down. We sprint to the car. Ended up going for 90 minutes. People are calling in. She's popping her face in for some FaceTime. It was hilarious. So she's been nice enough to take me up on the offer to fly her down for the week and get a little working vacation in. And then for my purposes, watch Tilly when I'm working out here for the week. So shout out Mom, who's probably watching at home, and shout out you, Shelly. Thank you. Denaro writes, can't go wrong eating at the wharf. Pescado straight out of the water. Great seafood. And us Baltimoreans have high standards, great restaurants. When it comes to seafood, hell yeah. Hell yeah. It's funny. One of my, what was her name? I went to the dugout or something, or the pit. I don't know. The second I got off my gate, for whatever reason, United didn't feed us other than water and little snacks. So I was not only parched getting off the flight, I was hungry. So I just walked right up to the bench or the dugout or something. It was some kind of sports bar. And I sit down at the bar and I get the all-day breakfast, which is just, come on, that's the all-day breakfast. That is music to my ears. The easiest yes when I see that. I don't even need to look at the menu anymore. Give me that shit. Give me a water. I'm going to house this. And this sweet, sweet lady, server, bartender, Robin, told me exactly that. Go down to the wharf. So perhaps we'll do that tonight. Jake and I might Uber We're in the Union Square area. So, and again, I want to continue to say thank you to Hotel Emblem and the folks at Pacifica Hotels for giving us the opportunity to work with them this week. It's this is the type of thing where when you go in the independent media space, this is kind of what happens. You got to look for opportunities to partner up and trade and um, focus on marketing campaigns and negotiations and things of that nature. And really, this type of stuff, these dealings, these negotiations, these plans. I mean, this is months in the making. So I just want to say thanks to our hotel partners this week, and thanks to all of you for following along. It's really an honor. It's the week of the year that when you do what we do, I just don't know if there's a more important week where it's full throttle, man, and it's a great opportunity. So I look forward to bringing you guys coverage all week long. More from Pelissero here as we continue to clean up notes and follow along what's been happening since the Declan Doyle hire was announced on Friday. Tom Pelissero, NFL Network, says that Ravens assistant wide receivers coach Prentice Gill will interview for Baltimore's wide receiver job this week. Gill's been with Baltimore the past 2 seasons and involved in much of the wide receivers' development there. So perhaps an internal promotion for Prentice Gill. Now, again, more assistants on the way out. In this case, Donald DeLessio, following John Harbaugh to the Giants, and there's a specific title attached for Donald. He will be New York's defensive pass game coordinator and secondary coach. Won a couple Super Bowls with Andy Reid and company in Kansas City, and Harbaugh brought him in this time last year. He spent 2025 as the defensive backs coach with the Ravens, and now we know who that is. It's Mike Mickens out of Notre Dame. That was one of Jesse Minter's first hires from last week. So just as we're following along with some other, these aren't the headline moves, if you will, but they are things that have happened since this staff has started to really kind of develop under Jesse Minter. Aaron Wilson, former Baltimore Sun reporter, noting that Ian Colst is a former Ravens offensive analyst. Looks like, let's see here. Quarterback's coaching. What's going on here? Another hire for, okay. Yeah, well, first of all, looks like there's already some Photoshop in this photograph right here. Because that's the Ravens stadium. Did somebody Photoshop Cleveland Browns merch and attire onto him? Because that's in Baltimore, and he was with the Ravens last year, and now it looks like he's heading to Cleveland to work with Todd Monken. I'm not sure, based on the way this tweet is read, I'm not quite sure in what capacity, but that cracks me up. Somebody must have, and I didn't even notice that. That's funny. But yes, he did have a career as a quarterback, and a record-setting quarterback at that. And now it looks like Todd Monken is bringing him to Cleveland. And you're seeing a trend here, right? You're seeing a trend. There's really a bidding war in a lot of ways. There's a competition going on between Todd Monken, who's forming his staff in Cleveland, John Harbaugh, who's doing exactly that in New York, and of course Jesse Minter trying to retain and bring in some new blood as much as he can to his best ability in Baltimore. Guest lines are open. Trey, are you with me, brother? If you are, turn on that camera. Would love to have you on. If you guys are out there and you want to share a thought with me tonight in terms of some of your early impressions of this Jesse Minter staff that's coming into place. There's over 400 votes and counting in the YouTube space right now. And I asked you to grade out Jesse's first week on the job in Baltimore. And 54% of you say A+, 31% of you say A-, 10% say B+, and 5% say B-. So that's where things stand right there. Trey, I don't believe. Quiet day in the guest lines, huh? Quiet day. What are you guys all doing out there? It's all good. I got more content. I was just trying to get you guys involved if you want it to be. Preston Automotive Group continues to support the program, and I am very appreciative of their support and their sponsorship. My longest standing sponsor And guys, you know the drill by now. If you're in the market for a new or pre-owned vehicle in 2026, I hope you'll scan the QR code or call 410-673-7171 right now to get started. Couple offers out there for the taking. One of those is a $500 credit towards a new or pre-owned vehicle that can be used at any Preston area dealership or location. You can also buy 4 tires and you'll receive 50% off your alignment in exchange. You can reach out to Preston by filling out this simple form and just selecting the dealership that's most convenient to you. They've got spots all throughout the DMV. I always tell you that Preston Ford West in Randallstown, Maryland, off of Liberty Road is what I use when I'm back home in Baltimore. And right now, they've got over 3,900 vehicles to choose from in their available inventory section. Search by make, model, or keyword. Break it down based on your preference, based on your priority, based on your need. Again, scan the QR code in the upper right-hand corner. Andy wants to do a Voltron car giveaway. That would be pretty dope, wouldn't it? I think we may need to cook something up in that regard, Andy. I like that. I like that a lot, matter of fact. Welcome to my hotel conference center, everybody. Here in San Francisco, California, Super Bowl 61 week from today. And yes, there is a 7-Eleven across the street. Yes, there is. Have I mentioned Hinge is popping off here on the West Coast? Or should I keep that to myself? More news from the weekend. And I know Ravens at least had somewhat level interest in bringing Jim Leonard back to Baltimore, where he was a safety and an undrafted one at that, back in 2008, John Harbaugh's first season. Jim works for the Broncos under Sean Payton, but now he's going to Buffalo, and he will be Joe Brady's defensive coordinator. Look, to me, this is not complicated. Jesse, as he confirmed last week, will call the plays on the defensive side of the ball as the head coach on game day in Baltimore. So if I'm Jim Leonard and I'm looking for my next big break, I'm going somewhere where I can be the caller of the show. I'm not going to go and sit under Jesse. All due respect to Jesse, I'm going to go to the organization where I have the higher ceiling. Well, okay, how about this? Where I have the more significant opportunity in front of me. And so it's not comparing Baltimore to Buffalo. It's comparing job to job. And the more attractive job is in Buffalo because Joe Brady's going to call the offensive side of the ball as the next head coach of the Bills. So it would have been really intriguing. Somebody that was a hot name in this hiring cycle. The Ravens had him in the building. But I think when you got as much to offer as Buffalo does in terms of what his responsibilities can be right now, what his title can be, I think it's pretty simple to understand why Jim picked the Bills. We didn't really talk about this on Friday, did we? And if we did, we glossed over it because it was all about Declan Doyle. But I wasn't going to let another stream go by and not talk about this. Because at 3:42 Eastern Standard Time on Friday, January 30th, Ravens defensive tackle Nnamdi Madubuike, who rarely uses X or Twitter, tweeted out good news with a prayer emoji. Cryptic, yes. Uplifting? Optimistic? You're saying there's a chance? Maybe. But I don't really have anything else to add because it's pure speculation. Now, one thing I do know is that the X app, the Twitter app, is really the epicenter of football coverage. When something happens, it lands on X first. And so I can't sit here and assume that this isn't football related. Like, I have to sit here and assume that this is football related. And because Nnamdi knows that it's the epicenter, the nucleus of everything when it comes to football coverage, football news, I got to think that he likes a piece of news that was just given to him. It wasn't the only thing that popped up on his X account, too. He reposted this Bible verse. Quote, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all the people." Can we specify which people you're referring to, Nnamdi? Are you referring to a certain couple million Baltimoreans with a couple Baltimoreans sprinkled in there? Who are you referring to, Nnamdi? Yeah. Let the speculation begin. Nnamdi had a season-ending neck injury within the opening month of the year, and the Ravens went downhill fast on that side of the ball, both from an interior pass rush push and presence, defending the run at times, even though that was one of the lone things about their defense that stood up. But clearly, the loss of 92 in the middle was damaging. And because of how ominous things have become, how deafening the silence has become as it relates to all things Nnamdi, his future, the fact that Harbaugh and DaCosta were asked multiple times about his future, about his status, and couldn't, which I get it. There's that the respect to HIPAA rules and violations within that department. It's a slippery slope that you have to walk, and I recognize that. But can we all agree that the optics haven't exactly been great? And so for Nnamdi to come out of nowhere and repost that verse and tweet this out, it just begs the question, how good are we talking here? Are you going to be back in Baltimore? You're under contract, but are you going to be back in Baltimore playing football in the fall of 2026? That remains to be seen. Perhaps we'll learn more in the coming days. Noah, are you with me, brother? If you are, turn that camera on. Would love to have you on the program. 90 seconds on the clock. And Noah, I think you're frozen, my man. So if you'd like to call in, go ahead and do so once more. If you guys haven't already figured it out, I am not in St. Pete at the moment. I am in San Francisco for Super Bowl 60, where I'll be for the next week. Looking forward to wall-to-wall coverage of all things Radio Row. Any type of guest that I can track down that has Ravens background, perspective on Baltimore, league-wide perspective, Declan Doyle perspective, you name it. I'm going to try my hardest to do exactly that. You guys know how it goes. I'm looking forward to it. Let's get a quick update on X to make sure that I haven't skipped over anything. Sarah and I will be live 12 noon Eastern all week long, as we always are. And if you guys haven't already done so, I would love for you to join the Discord group. It's a 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports. And I will have coverage and dialogue, and I'm sure interactions in there going all week long. Why don't we go ahead and do this and take a close look at what's going on a Sunday evening in the Discord group with no football. It's a no football Sunday. Why don't we do this too? Let's update the pinned comment, which has now been updated. The free access link to join has just been tossed into the live chat. Let's get an update as well on members. Alizar became member number 1,248. Again, this is a 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports and really just sports in general. You can see that things are broken down into chat room by chat room. And for the purpose of our conversation tonight, a lot of this, look at Holly promoting my show. Love you, Holly. Appreciate you. I feel like you messaged me somewhere, Holly, wishing me well. So if you did, thank you. But yeah, a little bit quiet in the last couple hours, but earlier today, this thing was full throttle, and I would love for you guys to join. It's a great community, and we're talking sports 24/7. And really, it's just an extension of the live chat in a lot of ways, which is always a fun environment. Okay, guys, that's 60 minutes for you, and I got to go check into my hotel. So that's the plan right now. I'm going to go check in my hotel. And yes, Solo Dolo, OnlyFans section of Discord, you're probably referring to Bobby After Dark, which who knows? You never know. It could morph into Bobby After Dark, or excuse me, OnlyFans. Let's be honest. Everything's on the table when it comes to my antics. I think we know that. A lot of you probably took that literally. Guys, please follow along on all of my platforms this upcoming week. I'm just going to be, again, going balls to the wall this week. Really, really looking forward to a lot of the coverage plans that we have in place for you guys. And a lot of that will be happening on X or Twitter. And then, as always, I try to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit and give you a look inside what's happening behind the scenes on Instagram. So you can connect with me over there if you aren't already. Both handles are at Bobby Baltimore. The O in Baltimore is a 0. And I'll go ahead and drop that link into the live chat as well. Let's see here. We'll do this. And then what else do I need to tease for you guys? I want to say thanks to Preston Automotive Group. I want to say thanks to FanDuel. I want to say thanks to Hotel Emblem and the Pacifica Hotel Group, which are giving me this opportunity to partner up with them this week, along with Jake Asman for Jets coverage on his side of things as well. And he's probably landing any minute now from New York. If you guys want to fund the trip at all, you can do so through Venmo, Cash App, or, of course, the YouTube Super Chat feature, which many of you did today. Obviously, funding it is as simple as liking the video, subscribing, hitting that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership this offseason if you want to go the extra mile. And sometimes you guys reach out about how you can do it outside of YouTube. That can be done through Venmo, Cash App. Nothing is ever expected. Anything and everything beyond appreciated. All right, guys. Appreciate you all. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekends. Sarah and I will be live at our normal time all week long, and then I will be going live sporadically depending on what's happening. So just have a level of patience in terms of start time and some of the fluidity of how Radio Row works. I'm going to be busting my butt this week, and I hope you'll follow along, and I hope you'll come along for the ride. Appreciate you guys, and I will catch up with you tomorrow, if not before. Enjoy the rest of your weekends, and be on the lookout for some Bobby After Dark content, inevitably, that will be dropping as soon as we get our first cocktail in us later on tonight. Appreciate you guys, every single one of you. Thank you so much.